have with us
Strout, CMO of Powered.
Welcome, Aaron. So, wanted to quickly have you just tell us a little bit about your background in new marketing, and then tell us a little bit about Powered and where Powered is in the social media space.
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and having worked with you before, it's even more exciting to be doing this interview. So,
especially with Louis Armstrong.
With Louis Armstrong in the background, sitting here at Starbucks, you can't go wrong. Just to give you a little bit of the pre-new marketing background, I worked at Fidelity Investments for about 9 years, and why I tell you that is it's given me some great insight into understanding how big companies think about marketing efforts, what's new, where they want to go, all those good things. And so for those 9 years, I focused on each evolution of what was new in the marketing realm. So truly new marketing, things like web marketing, banner ads, email, SEM, SEO, etc. About 3 years ago, I realized that Fidelity was a very smart place. They had tremendous resources, but in the world of social, even though they started to get it, it was a tricky business for them because of the fact that they're in financial services and they're so heavily regulated. The good thing is a lot of financial services companies are starting to figure things out. But I, at that point, jumped over to a company that was a precursor to Mazinga, the place where you and I worked together, called Shared Insights. I took the CMO role there and did that for about a year plus before we merged with another company and then became Mazinga. At that point, I did the VP of social media thing for a while, and what was really good about that is it gave me a great foundation to be able to understand how to truly live in the world of social and use it not only to make your brand more human, which is something that we at Mazinga did for our clients, but also to be able to do things like creating awareness and thought leadership and lead generation, something that a good friend of ours, both Kyle Flaherty, is doing now with his company. About 4 months ago, I left Mazinga and went to a company in Austin, Texas, and that was not by mistake. I have several friends like Kyle, Brian, John Johansson, and now Peter Kim, who have all migrated down there.
I didn't realize Peter has moved down there.
Well, he hasn't officially moved down there, but he spends a lot of his time down there. So I get to do dinner and coffee with Peter semi-regularly.
Great.
So I'm the CMO of this company called Powered, and what I liked about them is they really were sort of the next evolution in my mind of where social can go to help companies. So I know I'm running on in terms of my answer, but I think these are questions
like a great fit for your background.
Well, it was, and so now I'm able to take the social that I've learned over the last few years and combine that with marketing and use that to help Powered go out and attract new clients, generate awareness, because when I was interviewing for them, I realized they were sort of a best-kept secret. They're an awesome venture-backed company, but they hadn't done a great job telling their own story. So now we're able to help companies like Sony, HP, Atkins build managed online communities, and then we do the overall moderation, the management, but the most important part that I see that a lot of the white label providers, which is what Mazinga falls into the bucket of, weren't focused on, is creating professional content to help really engage customers, which if you've got a brand that, or a lifestyle that really people gravitate toward, something like an Apple product where people really love Apple, they love Macs. It's a lot easier to get people to rally around you if it's, I have this saying, would you join a toothpaste community? If it's something like that, it's harder to get people to engage with that. So we create short videos, short form content, flash little tutorials to get people to sort of really engage with, not the brand itself necessarily, but the lifestyle or the topic of the brand, and that helps people want to participate in the community and thus the brand itself.
So it's less about the community platform and more about the content to engage the audience in the community?
Yeah, so the community platform obviously plays a role, but we, like a lot of people say, it's not about the tools, and we truly believe that. We believe that it's having the right tools to facilitate the conversations, but really finding some sort of proxy to engage people. So Josh Burnoff and Charlene Lee did a great job describing this phenomena in their book Groundswell when they talked about Procter & Gamble and their Being Girl community. So Being Girl is about feminine products. Well, actually, it's sponsored by a feminine products line but it talks about things that 14-year-old girls are passionate about, boys, music, going to the dance or whatever, and then that subtle messages in the background so that, when a girl coming of age needs to sort of find a trusted source that they can talk to, the community is there for them, and that's the type of thing that we look at. We're not the ones that power the Procter & Gamble site. We wish we were. But, we do those types of things where it's really about sort of creating a safe environment and creating an engaging environment, and the tools facilitate the conversation, but they're not really the centerpiece of the conversation.
Awesome. So, can you take us into one of your clients here? Is this who do we have up here? This is
sure. Sony is one that we like to talk about regularly, and we have 3 different communities for Sony. The one that you just flashed into is Backstage 101. If you want to check it out, you can go to sony.com/Backstage 101. And what's nice about this is we have, I think the last count, 40 or 50 different pieces of content. They focus on things like.
Now, you've created that content?
We've created that content, yes.
Wow, and that's all the video, the flash, and...
That's correct.
Wow.
So Sony has invested a lot of time and effort in this. Powered has done a lot to sort of push this forward. But instead of saying, here's why Sony cameras are great, we're talking about things like, how can you do better digital scrapbooking? How can you take better pictures in a low-light environment? How can you set up a home theater system? So the bigger questions, it's that question of, I'm not buying the hammer and the nail, I'm buying, a way to hang the picture on the wall. So when people think about products, they're not thinking about how do I get the best camera. They're thinking about how do I take great pictures. And certainly if a brand can go in and help them take better pictures or help them, think through the different issues around setting up a home theater system, that's going to provide value to the end user. And so we've seen things like with, in the case of Sony, our programs are the leading driver of their Net Promoter Score, something that Fred Reichheld, the guy that wrote Loyalty Effects, talks about regularly. And the reason why is that people want to recommend this site. They want to recommend Sony because Sony has bought into this concept of give before you get, which I'm bullish on right now. It's what we do in Twitter. It's what we do in our blogs. It's what we do in the world of social. Colin, you're a great example of that. You've created a site, blanking on the name as we speak right now. Constructing Social, thank you. But it's this concept of how do you give value and then ask for something after the fact versus let me ask for something up front and then try to give you some value to get you to engage with it.
That's great. So can you show us a few examples of the stuff you've created for Sony?
Sure. You want me to jump on and start driving here?
I'll try not to dwell on the tea that you've ordered there. What's it? Passion.
This is my passion tea with 4 pumps of raspberry. So, all right. So let's go into one called Organize Digital Music and Photos with Your PC.
Hopefully people can see this.
So one of the things you'll note is that there are ratings and reviews that go along with each of these short form pieces of content. This is one of the places where the tools come in. Obviously, there are things like discussion forums and blogs, etc. But in this case, we try to keep it simple. You can see, by the way, any of this content without logging in, but if you want to participate in the conversation, you want to rate a review, you want to watch some of the things in more depth, then you do have to become a member, but it's relatively painless. So this one, it says, as our world becomes more digital, our PCs become cluttered, keeping track of digital music and memories can become a chore. So I think we've all faced this before. So I want to click on enroll, and I think it's going to ask me to log in at this point. So I will do that really quickly.
On your password.